Hello and welcome to A-Level Math. This is the fifth and the last part in the series Straight Lines. This video assumes that you have seen all the previous videos because we'll be using the concepts covered in all of those previous videos, and we'll be taking up some miscellaneous problems and some harder problems based on those concepts. So let's get started. Find the equation of the line parallel to the y-axis and drawn through the point of intersection of the lines something and something. Okay, so one thing that I haven't told you in the previous video is the speciality of any line that is parallel to either the x or the y-axis. Okay, so let's take an example. Suppose these are my axes, all right? So this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. Now consider any line that is parallel to the x-axis. Now can you tell me what is the slope of this line? So because this line is not making an angle, any angle with the positive direction of the x-axis, that means it's actually parallel to x-axis. So it makes an angle of 0 degree with the x-axis. So it might not make sense to you that what is the meaning of 0 degree, but always remember that the angle between two parallel lines is considered to be 0 degrees. So any line parallel to the x-axis is actually making an angle of 0 degree with the x-axis, and hence its slope is tan of 0 degree, which is 0. So this is the general concept, and we are not taking up this question at this moment. So let me give you some general concepts about the lines which are parallel to x and the y-axis. So you forget about the question that is given for time being and concentrate on what I'm saying. So any line that is parallel to the x-axis will have slope is equal to 0. All right, so now we know that the general equation of a line is y is equal to mx plus c. Now this m, which is the slope of the line, is 0. So y is equal to c is the equation of the line which is parallel to the x-axis. So always remember, if I give you suppose y is equal to 2 or y is equal to minus 5, all these equations are the equations of lines which are parallel to the x-axis. Now let me tell you why is it so. So suppose that consider this line itself. So and assume that this point over here is 0 comma 2. Okay, so for any point, suppose if you take this point, it will be something like 5 comma 2. If you go further ahead in the x direction, you will be getting something like 7 comma 2, then here 10 comma 2. So the x coordinate keeps on changing, but this y coordinate always remains fixed to 2. So that is why y is equal to 2 is the equation of this line. All right, and similarly y is equal to minus 5 will be a line which passes through the point 0 comma minus 5. So suppose this is the point 0 comma minus 5 and this is a line parallel to the x-axis, then its equation will be y is equal to minus 5. All right, so this is why always remember the key here is that any line parallel to the x-axis will have the equation of the form y is equal to c, where c actually denotes the length or the distance of this line from the x-axis. Either it could be 2 units, minus 5 units, or anything. Okay, similarly, if you consider a line which is parallel to the y-axis, its equation will be of the form x is equal to c, and similarly it will be something like this where c will be this distance. All right, so I leave it to you to think about the intuition of this x is equal to c. Why is it x is equal to c? And similarly, why was that y equal to c? Based on the similar lines, you can think of why any line parallel to the y-axis is of the form x is equal to c. Think about it, pause for a moment and think. So now let's move on to this question. Find the equation of the line parallel to the y-axis and drawn through the point of intersection. So what you do, first of all, you find out the point of intersection of these two lines. So to find out the point of intersection of these two lines, what we need to do, we just solve these two equations. So let's solve it. X minus 7y plus 15. Oh, okay, let's do one thing. I'll solve it myself and you also try it on your own. I'll pause the video and straight away tell you the answer, but you also try. Okay, so pause the video and try it yourself. So this is the solution that you get on solving the equation of these two lines. That means the point of intersection is minus 1 comma 2. All right, now we know that our line, which is the parallel to the y-axis, should be passing through this point because it passes through the point of intersection, right? So our line that is parallel to the y-axis, so it should be out the form x is equal to c, and it passes through this point 1 comma minus 1 comma 2. That means we can put minus 1 in place of x and 2 in place of y. So actually we don't need to use that 2 anywhere. So this gives us the value of c. So finally, again plugging this value of c over here gives us the equation of the line, which is x is equal to minus 1 or x plus 1 is equal to 0. This is the equation of the line we are interested in. Let's move on to another question. Find the equation of the line passing through the intersection of the lines this and this and parallel to the line this. Okay, so again, in a similar way, I want you to solve these two equations because this will give us the point of intersection and parallel to the line. And we want the line to be parallel to y minus x is equal to 8. Okay, so there is, in fact, that is one way where you can find out the answer by solving the two equations, and there is in fact one more way I want you to know. So we are given these two equations, all right, we are given these two lines and we want our required line to pass through the point of intersection of these two lines. So consider this, what I'm writing, 3x, okay, let's write down the first equation first. Anyways, it doesn't matter, but still, x plus 2y plus 3 is plus k times 3x plus 4y plus 7 is equal to 0. Now, what I have written is actually all of those straight lines which pass through the point of intersection of the given two lines. Why so? I want you to pause the video for a moment and try to understand why for different values of k we will be getting different values, different straight lines which pass through the point of intersection of these two lines. So what I actually mean is that suppose this is my line x plus 2y plus 3 is equal to 0, and this is another line 3x plus 4y plus 7 is equal to 0. Now there are infinitely many lines. Let me change the color. So there are actually infinitely many lines which pass through this point of intersection, right? So there are infinitely many lines which pass through this point of intersection. So this actually gives us all those straight lines. You can just vary this k. For different values of k, you will be getting different lines. Of course, we are, for this question, we are interested in a particular line which also satisfies this property that it should be parallel to y minus x is equal to 8. But what I'm saying is that in general, in general, this will give you the equation of all the lines which is parallel to both of these lines. Okay, you pause the video for a moment and think why so. So the reason is that we want, suppose that if we have some point on this line, okay, so if we have some point on this line, that means it will satisfy the equation of this line, right? So let's take up one point, say for example minus 1 comma minus 1. So minus 1 comma minus 1 lies on this line because minus 1 minus 2 plus 3 gives us 0. So minus 1 comma minus 1 lies on this line, and there are many points which lie on this line. Okay, so now the point of intersection of these two lines, whatever it is, we need to solve it. Whatever it is, it will satisfy both of these equations, right? And we want that this required line which passes through the point of intersection should also satisfy that. So you just, what you need to do, suppose that a point of intersection is, suppose alpha comma beta. So alpha plus 2 beta plus 3 should be equal to 0, and also 3 alpha plus 4 beta plus 7 should be equal to 0 because alpha comma beta lies on both the lines, so it will satisfy both the equations. So 0 plus k times 0, k times 0 will be actually 0. So this point will also satisfy this equation, right? And doesn't matter what value of k you take, for any value of k, this line is always going to pass through that point of intersection, right? Because it will always satisfy, alpha comma beta is always going to satisfy this equation, and that is why this is the reason you get this equation as the general equation of all the lines which pass through the point of intersection of these two given lines. Okay, so now let's clean it up and again see what we're talking about. All right, I'll choose black this time. So We want a line that passes through the point of intersection of these two. So let the equation of the line be x plus 2y plus 3 plus k times 3x plus 4y plus 7 is equal to 0. All we need to do is just find out the value of k. Okay, so we will find out the value of k using this additional condition. We are said that this line is parallel to the line this. Okay, that means both of these lines have equal slopes. So what we do, we find out the slope of this line first. Remember, for finding out the slope, we need to write it in the form y is equal to mx plus c. So what we need to do, we first segregate. So we take x common, we get 1 plus 3k. We take y common, we get 2 plus 4k plus 3 plus 7k is the constant, is equal to 0. So now take everything on the other side. Y times 2 plus 4k is equal to minus 1 plus 3k times x minus 3 plus 7k. Now they take this 2 plus 4k on the other side. So we get y is equal to minus 1 plus 3k divided by 2 plus 4k x minus 3 plus 7k divided by 2 plus 4k. So this is the slope of my line, which I want to be equal to the slope of this line. What is the slope of this line? It is y is equal to x plus 8. So 1x, that means the slope of this line is 1. Now I want my required slope to be equal to 1 as well, because both of these lines are parallel. So minus 1 plus 3k divided by 2 plus 4k is equal to 1. I just need to simplify this and see what I get. Minus 1 minus 3k is equal to 2 plus 4k minus 7k is equal to 3. K is equal to minus 3 by 7. So this is the value of k. You just plug it over here, again put on the value of k over here, simplify and see what you get as your answer. That's it. That will be the required equation of the line. Next question. Find the value of k for which the lines this, and this may intersect at a point. So we want all of these three lines to intersect through a given point. That means all of these three lines should pass through one point. So what do, you just take these two equations first. Okay, 3x plus y is equal to 2 and 2x minus y is equal to 3. You solve these two equations and find out the point of intersection. Now I want my third line, kx plus 2y is equal to 3, to also pass through that particular point. So whatever you get as point, suppose, I'm just telling you, I won't be doing this question. Suppose that you get your point to be minus 1 comma 5 as the point of intersection. What do, you just put down minus 1 in place of x and 5 in place of y and find out the value of k. That will be your answer. That's it. I leave it to you as an exercise to do it. It's particularly easy, nothing hard in this. Let's move on to the next question. If three lines y is equal to m1x plus c1, y is equal to m2x plus c2 and y is equal to m3x plus c3 are concurrent, again means that they all pass through the same line, sorry, the same point, my mistake, then show that this thing holds. All right, so we are given that there are three lines and all of these are concurrent, means they pass through one single point. Then we need to show something. So what do, again you follow the same thing. You take the first 2 points, for instance y is equal to m1x plus c1 and y is equal to m2x plus c2. You find out the values of x and y from here and you just put down the values of those x and y over here to get the equation in terms of m1 c1 and c2 and c3, all of those things, and you'll be finally getting this. So I'll do this for you, don't worry. So let me write down this equation in the standard form. m1x minus y plus c1 is equal to 0 and m2x minus y plus c2 is equal to 0. I will be using the cross multiplication method to solve the equation this time. So we know that by cross multiplication we get something like x is equal to minus y by 1 by. So for finding out what goes in here, what we do, we first forget about this thing and then cross multiply this into this minus this into this. So minus 1 times c2 gives me minus c2 minus 1 times c1 gives me minus c1. So minus c1. For finding out what goes here, you forget sorry, you forget about this thing. All right, so m1 times c2, m1 times c2 minus m2 times c1. All right, and for finding out what goes here, you have to forget about this thing. So to find out what goes here, we forget about this thing. So it's m1 times minus 1 gives minus m1, and minus 1 times m2, so it gives me minus m2. Now let's simplify, see what we get. X divided by minus c2 plus c1 is equal to minus y by m1 c2 minus m2 c1 is equal to 1 by minus m1 plus m2. So this gives the value of x is equal to c1 minus c2 divided by m2 minus m1, and y is equal to actually m1, or let's do one thing, let's adjust this minus with the denominator. So we get y is equal to m2c1 minus m1c2 divided by m2 minus m1. So these are the values of x and y. All you need to do is just plug these values of x and y in this equation, and finally simplify to get the answer. I leave it to you as an exercise. Find the area of the triangle formed by the lines this, this, and this. Okay, so first of all, let's draw coordinate axis. What is the line y minus x is equal to 0? Y minus x is equal to 0 will be of the form this. It will be upward rising. Y is equal to x. Now x plus y is equal to 0 is downward sloping. So y is equal to minus x. So minus 1 is the slope. And x minus c means x is equal to c is a line parallel to the y-axis and at a distance of c units. So it should look something like this. All right, line parallel to the y-axis, and suppose this is the point c comma 0. All right, so we need to find out the area of this triangle, the area of the triangle formed by these three lines. So what you need to do, first of all, find out the point of intersection of all these lines. So this point of intersection, to find out this point, what we need to do, we need to solve these two equations. Y minus x is equal to 0 and x is equal to c. So y minus x is equal to 0 and x is equal to c. From here we get y is equal to x. From here we get x is equal to c. So our point is y is equal to c and x is equal to c, which gives this point to be equal to c comma c. To find out this point, what we need to do, we solve y plus x is equal to 0 and x is equal to c. So we get x is equal to c and y is equal to minus c. So this point is c comma minus c. And this point is by solving y is equal to y minus x is equal to 0 and y plus x is equal to 0. So what you do, you just add these two equations, x get cancelled out, you get 2y is equal to 0. That means y is equal to 0 and also x is equal to 0 you get. So this point is, needless to say, 0 comma 0. All right, so we have got 3 points. These are the 3 vertices of the triangle, and from the very first video on the basics of coordinate geometry, we can find out the area of this triangle. So I leave it to you as an exercise to find out the area of this triangle. If you haven't seen the video on basics of coordinate geometry which discusses how to find out the area based upon the vertices of the triangle, please go and watch that and come back again to this video. Okay. Find the image of the point 3, 8 with respect to the line x plus 3y is equal to 7, assuming the given line to be a plane mirror. So what it is saying is that assume that this line x plus 3y is equal to 7 is a mirror, and this is a point 3, 8 over here. The name of this point is P. We have to find out the mirror image of this point. That means we have to find out a point somewhere over here, suppose Q, Let's call this point alpha comma beta. We have to find out the coordinates of alpha comma beta, assuming that this line acts as a mirror. So remember that you might have learned something in physics that for a plane mirror, image distance is equal to object distance. That means this distance is equal to this distance. So effectively this point becomes the midpoint of these 2 points P and Q. All right. So our final task is to find out finally q alpha comma beta, or the coordinates of q. All right, so first of all we are given this line x plus 3y is equal to 7. We are given x plus 3y is equal to 7 is the given line. So we get 3y is equal to minus x plus 7, y is equal to minus 1 by 3x plus 7. That means the slope of the given line is minus 1 by 3. So the slope of the given line is minus 1 by 3. So the slope of our required line is actually 3. Remember why? Because reciprocal and changing the sign we have discussed in the very first or the second videos on straight lines. There's a trick for finding out the slope of any line perpendicular to a given line. So the slope of the required line is y is equal to 3. All right. So we have to find out the equation of this line. Let's find out the equation of this line. We know the slope, we know a point through this line, so we can easily find out the equation using the point slope form. So y minus 8 divided by x minus 3 is equal to 3. Cross multiply and simplify. Y minus 8 is equal to 3x minus 9. So 3x minus y minus 1 is equal to 0 is the required equation of the line. So we have PQ, we have the equation of PQ, we have the equation of this line. What we can do, we can just solve these two equations to find out the point of intersection. So let's solve the given equation x plus 3y is equal to 7 and 3x minus y minus 1 is equal to 0. So x plus 3y is equal to or minus 7 is equal to 0, and 3x minus y minus 1 is equal to 0. Let's multiply this equation with 3. So we get 3x plus 9y minus 21 is equal to 0. So we subtract these two equations, 3x and 3x cancel out, minus 10y plus 20 is equal to 0, minus 10y is equal to minus 20. So y is equal to 2. So we get the value of y is equal to 2. Similarly, putting down this value of y in this equation, say any equation you may choose, you will get the value of x. So x plus 3 into 2 is equal to 7. So x is equal to 7 minus 6, which is 1. So we get this point of intersection to be equal to 1 comma 2. Okay, let's draw all of these things again and simplify, as I mean clean up some space. So we have this point 3 comma 8, we have 1 comma 2, that means the midpoint of this, and we have to find out this q. Now we know that 1 comma 2 is the midpoint of p and q. So what we have, alpha plus 3 by 2 is equal to 1, and beta plus 8 divided by 2 is equal to 2. You just solve these two to find out the value of alpha and beta, and we are done, because that was what we were required to find out. Alpha plus 3 is equal to 2, alpha is equal to minus 1, and from here we get beta plus 8 is equal to 4, beta is equal to minus 4. So this point is minus 1 comma minus 4, which is the value of q, and we are done. Find the equation of the line parallel to the y-axis and drawn through the point of intersection of this and this. So again, I won't be doing this, I'll just show you or just let you know how to do. So we are given, we want the line to be passing through the point of intersection of these two lines. So you solve these two equations, you'll be getting the values of x and y. You want your required line to be parallel to the y-axis, so you take, suppose it's to be x is equal to c, and then just put down whatever you get. Suppose the point of intersection is minus 1 comma 5, so you put down minus 1 in place of x and 5 in place of y. Effectively 5 will not be used anywhere, so you'll be getting finally x is equal to minus 1, but depending upon whatever you get this point to be, I just chose an example. So do it in this way and let me know in the comment section if you could do it. That's it. We are done through straight lines. I hope straight line is more or less clear to you. But still, all you need to do from your part is take up the solved examples in your standard, whatever book you are following, go through all the solved examples, and finally, exhaustively do all of the questions that are given in the exercises. And that's the only way to make yourself understand things. Thanks a lot. Study harder and stay tuned with A level maths. Bye bye.